is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brad and I are going to be doing our top 10 Fantasy Flight games, which is one of the publishers that I was actually able to do a top 10 for. Now, Fantasy Flight has been a huge part, I think, of both our hobbies,
Yes.
and continue to be so, so I figured, well, let's talk about our top 10 favorite games of theirs.
See how much Star Wars and
And
Lord of the Rings
Cthulhu,
and stuff
yeah,
and Cthulhu
just show.
over here.
That's literally all it is. It's just top 10 Star Wars games, honestly, and it's all Fantasy Flight. That's actually not true, even in the slightest. So, let's go ahead and get started with an honorable mention. Actually, how many crossover do you think we'll have?
A
lot, probably.
1, 2,
I think we will have
3,
4 or 5. I think we'll have 5.
I say, unless I'm forgetting some, I say 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah. And I better not be forgetting any.
Oh, no. We'll have... I think, actually, sorry, I forgot you haven't played that. Or you haven't played it as much. So, 1, 2, 3.
Remember, I haven't played Cosmic Encounter, so...
No, that's not what I was thinking. So, 1, 2... I think we'll have 4.
Okay.
So, starting with an honorable mention, which is Wiz War. Wiz War is actually on its 8th edition. Don't know who made it back then in the 80s, but...
I think it was Avalon Hill, wasn't it?
Maybe. But Fantasy Flight has the most recent one. And this is one of those games that I just think is so much fun. Like, in terms of the battling wizards, like, I think it's a lot more fun than the Epic Spell Wars because of just the crazy combinations that are grounded in actual fantasy spells. And if you don't know, Wiz War is you are competing magicians in a maze that you're trying to get up to 2 points. You get a temporary point if you go into someone's spot, steal a treasure chest, and bring it back. People can take those and put them somewhere else so you can lose that. Or if you kill another mage, and you get a permanent point for doing that. But with the expansions for this game, they just have so many different schools, and that actually have, like, okay, if you have an item card that you play, you actually have an item token for that. If you break a wall, there's a broken wall token. If you turn into another beast, they have a miniature for that to represent you. And it's just craziness that what I used to do is they had a variant where you can just shuffle it all together. Well, that got insane. So now what I do is actually I'll either randomly select or just have everyone choose a school that they want to put into a deck. And those are the spells that we go through. The insane combinations in Wiz War and the whimsy and the beer and pretzels nature of it just is a blast. And it's one of their games that I absolutely enjoy. So that's my number 11.
I haven't played that one yet. I've owned it once.
Yeah.
It was earned back in the early days, one of the older editions.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never played it.
I think you would like it.
Yeah.
But it is one of those games that you have to, like, be in the mindset for.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I remember playing it one time with a few friends, and it works well at 3 because, you would think, oh, it's a competitive game, so someone's getting targeted. Well, because of the crazy nature of all the spells, you have counters and things like that, where it's like if people are going to target you, you'll probably have an answer for it. But I remember one time I was in my home area, and someone played a spell that summoned a wall, so I got trapped. Mm-hmm. And then on my turn, I played a spell that swapped spots. So I swapped spots with him, so he got trapped while I was out free.
I've heard a lot of stories of the crazy
combinations.
Lightning bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, they have a bouncing thing. And because you can boost spells as well, so
yeah.
It's just fun. And I remember the joy of that experience was he did that, and he was like, "Oh, I got you," and I'm just like, yeah, you did. And then I tried him, and he started laughing because the absurdity of it. He's like, and wait, why am I here? It's so much fun. So Wiz War is my number 11.
All right, my number 11, they don't make anymore, I believe. It was their...
If it's not Star Wars.
It was their original LCG. Second. Maybe their second. It's Lord of the Rings, the card game.
Oh, okay.
I know they were doing it online. They ported it online now and doing different stuff. But anyway, Lord of the Rings, the card game, which will probably maybe get replaced by Journeys to Middle Earth on this list at some point.
Oh, yeah.
That's my Lord of the Rings game.
Oh, I gotcha.
But
they're not even close to the same game.
No,
I see. Just the Lord of the Rings filler.
Right. This game was a blast, being totally cooperative.
Mm-hmm.
I owned all of it from the beginning all the way until when I finally stopped playing. I was current. But the reason it's not higher is because I like deck building, but you had to, like, a deck that worked for this scenario, you'd set up the next scenario really quick, but that deck would not work at all. So you had to totally build your deck to gear it for that. And there was just a lot of deck building, a lot of non-game time, which is fine, but you pretty much just ran through the story. A lot of it was just like Lord of the Rings lore type stuff, but then they had these little the deluxe expansions that actually went through the stories of the books. So there was There was the Black Riders box, and then it'd go on that, and then they even came out with the Hobbit one. So there was the Hobbit, there was To There and Back, or
There and Back again,
whatever. So they have all these. So it was kind of like they were called saga sets. So you actually played through kind of the books, and stuff. But I mean, I had 5,000 cards, I think, for it, and it's just when you're trying to deck build and you have a stack of cards this big for this color and everything. So I think you pick like 2 heroes and you'd go from there and do stuff. So it's a dead game pretty much now. If you have it, it's fun and everything, but I think that's kind of what they use to springboard some of their other cooperative LCGs. We'll hear about later.
I remember having that game like years ago, and Kat and I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it was one of those things where I wasn't really into deck building deck constructing at that time. So I was like, man, do I have to do this for every scenario? But because you couldn't, like, for their other LCGs now, the 5 of them, it's just like starter. Okay, here's what we recommend for their deck, and you can play that and do fine in any scenario.
Yeah, I think they learned their lesson from that.
But there's a lot of stuff for that game.
God.
You can't find it anymore, and if you do, it's insanely overpriced.
Yeah, because I just remember building a hawk deck. Yeah, with all these the eagle deck with all these eagles, and then just focused on this one mission. Yeah, and then you go in and that just doesn't even do anything.
Exactly.
So that's why it's 11. I mean,
you put a lot of time and effort into it.
It's like a 50 card deck, and you have to do all this different.
If I do this and I can play this and then I can do this.
So it's kind of like Granddaddy co-op LCG. So that's why it's my number 11.
Yeah.
It's a good one though, and the art is fantastic.
Sure, I think that's like with Fantasy Flight art. All their art's great.
Yep.
All right, my number 10 is the is it the only game on this list that? Yep. This is one of my favorite hidden movement games, just in general, not even Fantasy Flight, and that's Letters from Whitechapel. This was a game that was early on in my gaming hobby as well, and I think it still holds up today. If you don't know, one person plays as Jack the Ripper, the other person plays as the policeman trying to hunt him down, and it's your basically standard hidden movement. On your turn, Jack kills one of the prostitutes, and then has to try and he picks at the beginning one number to be his hideout. And there's that game of cat and mouse where the policemen are moving. They have some control over where how they can find clues, and at the beginning it's like, okay, Jack can wait to kill, but then the policemen get to move the prostitutes, because it depends on from night to night, and there's 4 rounds. The policemen stay where they are, but the players get to decide, okay, we can put 2 decoy tokens, and then the rest are going to be where we're at. And Jack could wait to see, okay, I'm not going to kill right now, but the policeman get to move but he gets to reveal a black token, and so he can get some information and try and scope out where the police are. And then he has to kill at some point, and then try and make it back to his hideout. So it's so good, and I like this theme quite a bit. I'm interested in the Jack the Ripper, history of it, because it's like he was never caught. But so I guess it doesn't make sense for this game if he does get caught. So Jack always has to win, and I always play Jack. So haha. But yeah, this one's just a phenomenal hidden movement game. So number 10, letters. My number 10 letters from Whitechapel.
You're gonna start hearing a theme on my list, all right? Because my number 10 is another dead LCG.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the second edition of it, and that's the Game of Thrones LCG.
I didn't even know you have played that.
Oh God, I had so much of it.
That is recently dead, though.
Yeah, but I guess the cards being produced recently dead, but the community died a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Because I had everything, and I bought, and had decks built all over the stuff, and there's just nobody playing it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem of living where I live a lot of times, is because there's not people, so that's why the co-op ones work better.
Yeah.
But this game I had played the first edition once or twice, and it was okay, but this one does so much better at everything, more thematic, as thematic of a card game as you can get with this theme. But there was just a lot of good decisions to be made. They added, in the original, they just had those main houses. This one, they did a cool thing where you could pick like the Starks, but then you could have a banner of, let's say, the Baratheon banner, or you could do the Lannister banner. You could do the fucking dragon lady, Targaryen. And if you bannered with them, then you could bring like a handful of their cards from there into your deck.
That's pretty cool
to have as allies.
Yeah,
so it made it kind of cool because it wasn't just they're the Starks, I know what to expect.
Yeah,
or that you could kind of have some cool mix.
Okay, neat.
And it was 1v1. You could actually play it with the whole... Because the cool thing about the Game of Thrones is it could actually be played multiplayer.
Okay.
And then you actually battled over... there was the hand of the king.
Oh, okay, like jobs?
And depending on what you were, you did more stuff, and you were just defeating... fighting everybody, which was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It made the games long.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
So anyway, but then, like I said, nobody to play it with. So it just kind of disappeared, and then it eventually they stopped making it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's still not good enough to be my number 10, because it was a good 1v1 game. That
was one of those games where I remember seeing it, but I was like, man, I would never have anyone to play that with.
Yeah, and that's... it's just rough, because I had all the special tokens, of course, through Covenant. I bought all the decked out acrylics.
Yeah.
And they actually had, instead of acrylics for them like they do with Netrunner and all that stuff, they actually made, it was wood.
Oh,
it was
okay.
engraved, painted wood, and like the lion or the whatever that you would use as your markers and everything. And it was really cool.
Neat.
But yeah, Game of Thrones 2nd edition LCG.
Cool. My number 9 is their hidden trader game, which is Battlestar Galactica, which...
That's my number 9.
Oh, there we go.
Is that what you had to check?
Years ago, this probably would have been top 3.
Oh yeah,
but
easily.
At the same time, this game, 1, takes forever. 2, out of print, so it's insanely expensive.
They lost the license.
They lost the license to do it. I've heard that they're gonna do something else with I've heard like the weird that they're gonna do the same mechanics but a different theme.
I just don't know if it would feel right.
Right?
Because that's part of the thing. If you play in this game, it's good. It's a good game by itself.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If you watched Battlestar, then it's like so much. You get so much more out
exactly.
of it.
And that's the thing is I've seen a little bit of Battlestar Galactica, but I played the game first, and they did such a good job at implementing that theme over to this. Still one of the best trader mechanic games that I've played, because at some point there will be a trader. There's essentially 2 phases. You hand out the roll cards at the beginning of the game, and at that point you don't know. So from the very first turn you don't know if someone's a trader. But then halfway through, doing light speed, you hand out the second set of roll cards. So then you know for sure someone is, and it could even be you. You could not be a trader and then get handed out and then you could get the trader card,
which is thematic. If you
exactly
watch the show.
Right. So it's just I'm not gonna say that there's games that come out now that do the trader mechanic better, but they do you get the similar feel in less time, because this game is
It's a long game.
it's about 2 or 3 hours long.
With the expansions especially. And
yeah.
One of the I can't remember because I can never keep the expansions straight, but one of them brought in the role of the silent sympathizer.
Yeah.
Which was, they weren't a silent, they were
they were like...
And then there's a human sympathizer.
Yep.
But the thing I liked about it was, even if you were the traitor, in a lot of traitor games, if you get found out, you're just completely dicked.
Yeah.
This one, that wasn't necessarily the case.
That's true.
You could still do stuff. You could still, because you just kept respawning and trying to fuck
yeah, exactly. And you just, that's actually a good point, because you, in one of the expansions, you had your own ship.
Yeah,
that you could
the
go
Pegasus
to.
Was...
No, the Pegasus.
Oh, you mean the
Cylon had their own ship.
Gotcha.
That you could actually just be like, boom, reveal, and do something that's like crippling.
Yep.
And then it becomes a one versus many.
Yeah.
Which I think is extremely interesting, because unlike games like Dead of Winter or the stupid Camelot one.
Oh, Shadows of Camelot.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it was Shadows of Camelot. It's like, those games make it extremely easy for the traitor to win. Like Dead of Winter, everyone has an objective, so everyone's already suspicious. That's their way of making the traitor mechanic. There's none of that in it's like kind of like the Resistance, but with more elegant stuff going over it. So it's not that, hey, I'm going to go to this action. It's not that, oh, well, obviously the game made you do that, or like Shadows over Camelot, where it's like, everyone has to do something evil at the beginning before they can do something good. It's like, well, obviously that just makes it easier for the fucking traitor to do stuff. Here, it's like, I'm going to go here. Well, why?
Well, right, and Corey Konetska is the designer of this. He's done a lot of stuff with Fantasy Flight and everything, but one of the most ingenious things he did was whenever there was the vote or whatever, and you'd always put, I think, 2 or 3 cards just
random, from a dummy deck,
from a dummy deck that could be fails,
yeah.
and everybody's putting in good stuff, and it's like, okay, who the fuck played these cards?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to mix them up before you reveal and everything, and so it brings that tension.
And then you also have the different roles that, like,
the admiral,
and the president, and it was interesting because I remember last time I played it, which was actually pretty recent. I sold everything for it for a lot of money, and then just bought back the base game. I'm like, okay, I never got it to the table anyway. I'll just do the base game. And so we just played that, and it was a blast. And I remember one time, my friend accidentally threw in the wrong card, and he even said, hey, I didn't mean to put that in there. But so we failed the mission. And of course, no one believes you whenever you say stuff like that. So I remember there was a point where it's like, I could have voted to put someone in the brig, and I'm like, well, you fucked us over on that, and I was a traitor the whole time.
Yeah.
And you know that instance where it's just like people are deflated because he knows it's not him, but I know it's me, and I'm just like, well, you messed up. He's like, no, I messed up.
Airlock.
Yeah, really. It was. You just get so many good stories with Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. It's at 9 because it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, and the length is just not. It's
like, do you really want to have that tension of like, who the fuck is it for 3 hours? Yeah. Nah, not really. But man, if they can get the license again and do a revised edition, or I mean, if they made a game that was like, hey, it's our version of Battlestar Galactica, but it's a new IP or whatever, I'd be fine with that too, because then it's like, hey, modern.
Yeah. They tried it with Dark Moon, but it wasn't Fantasy Flight.
I don't even know what that is. So
Dark Moon was a Stronghold game that's supposed to be Battlestar Galactica Light.
Oh, gotcha.
So shorter,
yeah,
and everything.
I'm not even saying make it like, you can make it the exact same game, but just put it into place so it'll get supported, and it's
Maybe they could figure out a way to do Star Wars with it because it fit right into their Star Wars.
Oh man, could they? Could they? No, there's no traitor stuff in Star Wars. Someone said Palpatine.
Not in the movies.
Yeah.
I guess like there's stuff in other stuff.
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but yeah, that's my number 9. Our number 9, Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
My number 8 is one that I actually introduced you to. It's another hidden movement game. Okay, so yeah, it's Letters from Whitechapel is not the only one on here. Fury of Dracula.
Yes.
Is that also your number 8?
No.
Okay, I was like, we just have the same like numbers. Fury of Dracula. This is whatever edition, 9th.
Which one do you have?
I have the third. I don't have the
You have
Whiz
the
Kids
third.
one.
Yeah, the Whiz Kids would be fourth.
I have the
so that's
good
third.
edition, which is this one.
Well, the fourth is identical. Like
I know. I think
everything's the same.
Yeah. So I guess technically this isn't a Fantasy Flight game anymore. It's Whiz Kids, unless they.
It was. I mean.
Yeah, I'm still counting it.
Yeah, it's.
So Fury of Dracula is one person plays as Dracula and the other people play as the four people from the story: Van Helsing, Mina, and then the other two guys that no one remembers. And you play over the map of Europe, and their goal is to kill Dracula before he can also amass enough influence to win the game. Now, the thing about this game is also a long game. But what I feel with this one is that there's always that tension of cat and mouse. Letters from Whitechapel, the police have to be on you. If they don't find your clues, there's just like, we don't know. But here, with Mina's ability, it's just like, okay, she's going to be with this person. Boom, are you in this region? No. Okay, we're just going to hop the border. Are you in this region? Yes. And then everyone swarms, and it's like, oh God, okay. Mm-hmm. Because in Letters from Whitechapel, you can go back and forth. I can go 11-10, 11-10, 11-10. Boom, now I'm in my thing. And it makes it seem like I took 10 turns when I really just moved 3 spaces.
Right.
Here, Dracula has a track. Okay, I'm going to go to Paris. Okay, boom. Now for 6 turns, I cannot go back to Paris. So if you find out that I was here in Paris, then you're like, okay, he's moved 4 spaces. The 4 people, the many, have so many more chances to actually find you. They get ability cards, they get weapons, they get stuff like that. Dracula also gets all that, but the players kind of dictate how much he gets. Oh, well, we want to search here at night or whatever, and it's like, okay, you're drawn from the bottom of the deck. Dracula card, boom, and there's not a lot of Dracula cards in that deck, but they're really good. So the tension of this game is fantastic. But the reason why this is also above Letters from Whitechapel is if Jack gets caught, like, boom, we're gonna make an arrest on 30, and I'm there, that's it. If you find out where I am at Dracula, I can fight back. It's just like, okay, now we're fighting, and it's a game of kind of like rock, paper, scissors, where now Dracula, he's not the strongest, but he can still fight back. And actually, sometimes if I know what you have, oh, well, you have a knife? Okay, boom, now I'm going to be able to be more viable at fighting back.
Right.
It's kind of reading your opponent type of combat with abilities. So, and he has ways to escape. It's like, okay, I'll try to fight back, but you're really getting me with this garlic and this this knife, and you deal like 6 points of damage. It's just like, all right, I'm just gonna go and escape now.
Yeah.
That hurt, and then he can heal. So this one's just great.
I probably would have considered putting it on my list.
Oh wow, okay, this was one of the crossovers.
I've only played it one time though.
True.
And we need to play it again sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, but when you because we pretty much obliterated you,
right?
And because you weren't using your special powers, remember you
right?
were
I didn't use the Dracula abilities.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'd like to see how it played.
Right,
with you running that and with us because we had you cornered and
Dracula is severely hindered without his actual thematic powers.
So that's why I didn't put it on because I didn't know how it would play when you were at full.
Because I played this game a ton, and I have played both sides, so I know it's possible to win as the people, even if they have the abilities. You just have to do a little bit more deduction. It's like, okay, is that card one of just because there's a decoy where he can actually just stand still, or a wolf where he can move twice and he can move through people through that. So it's just like, okay, but I had to do that. Or if I go into the ocean, I have to take damage, and I went to the ocean.
Right.
So it requires actual investigation abilities on the 4 people. So the abilities aren't broken, while some people might be like, what the fuck, you can just do that? Jack also gets tokens. He can cut through through a whole, alley section. He can move, he can get on a stagecoach and stuff like that. So it's not impossible, but if you take those out, then it's like once you find Dracula, there's nothing he can do.
Right.
So, but yeah, I put on the list with those abilities because
Right.
I did not enjoy not having them. So
I did.
I'm sure. So that's my number 8, Fury of Dracula.
All right, my number 8. This is so sad. It's another dead game. This one I do.
Star Wars.
This one I still actually own.
Oh.
A lot of it. Because I love the game, and my timing is horrible because it was still a live game when I bought in all this stuff. I've been buying, and then it died, and now I'm stuck with all this stuff and nobody to play it with, and it's Star Wars Destiny.
That's it.
And because I'm a huge Star Wars.
You know we did top 10 Fantasy Flight games, right? Not dead games. Well, that's all their games.
But I like competitive 1v1 games a lot, so that's why a lot of the LCG stuff or these collectible things will be on here. But yeah, Star Wars Destiny is just a great game because you choose, you have light side, dark side. You pick 2 people, you get their dice for their stuff, and then you create a deck. And several of the cards in that deck will have its own dice that you'll get once you pay to play it, and then it'll go into your pool. And then at the beginning of your turn, you roll the dice, and then you just go at each other. You're just trying to wipe out the other team, more or less.
Yeah.
But it's just there's just so much. There's dice manipulation, so that you don't get totally
Sure.
hosed and everything. But it's a game I think we need to try sometime because I think
Dude, don't rope me into your dead games. Let them die.
But
you gotta let the past die.
But,
isn't that one of your favorite movies?
Well,
that was a
the
quote
game
by
is just
Kylo Ren
the game
in
is just a
Last Jedi?
Force Ghost now. It's just a Force Ghost game. And
It's stronger.
it's
than
stronger
death.
now. It's struck down. But
It's so stupid.
but anyway, I didn't get into it when it first started because I was like, you buy pack. It was like $2 or $3 for a pack.
Yeah, and it had off-brand Ray on the cover.
You get 5 cards and 1 dice.
Yeah,
per pack. And they had distribution issues, kind of like what Dice Masters had, where they wouldn't put stuff out and they started dying, and that's kind of how the game ended up dying because they couldn't keep up with the stuff. But it's really cool because you can build your decks up however you want, more or less, and you get some really cool combinations. There's thematic; the cards are super thematic. And you just go at it, and and it's one that I really wish would have kept going because I probably would have wasted. My wallet thanks it for canceling.
I guess so
because I bought like 5 booster boxes.
Yeah, some huge boxes.
But they used to be. They were $90 a piece. Like when the game was going, these booster boxes were $90.
Oh wow!
And when the game started dying, because they did a rotate, they had rotation.
Okay.
And so the first series of stuff couldn't be used competitively.
Gotcha.
But I didn't care because I wasn't gonna play it competitively.
True.
And they were like $15 a box.
Wow.
And I was just like bam, 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 bam. And had all these cards and all these dice, and now that's dead. You can buy that stuff cheap too.
Right. I think the reason why I never got into it, besides the fact that I don't really like Star Wars, like I have 0 Star Wars games on this list. I don't like. I've come to the realization as a nerd and a geek that I like the Star Wars world. The movies suck, and the games suck. 2 of the movies are good, and that's 5 and 6. No, 4 and 5. I don't like 6. Anyway, I digress. The reason why I didn't get into Star Wars Destiny was because
6.
It's a repeat of 4. It's the same movie, except the Ewoks are at the end, and the Ewoks I hate them.
6 is the
Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's A New Hope. It's pretty much the same movie.
Return of the Jedi.
It's essentially A New Hope. The premise of
Are you talking about The Force Awakens is the same as?
No, The Force Awakens is very clearly A New Hope as well.
Okay.
But in terms of the original 3, it's hey, we have another Death Star. And it's like, okay, we need to basically blow it up the exact same way as we did the first time. Except this time, we have to go to a planet. And somehow, these tiny-ass fucking bears annihilate an organized military. And I just don't like it. And then we're not even going to get into the prequels. I actually like A Force Awakens.
Oh, I do.
So
I like
three
them all. I like
are.
them all.
I know you like them all. Even Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones is by far one of the worst movies ever made.
It's still Star Wars, though.
Sure, it has the title. Anyway, the reason why I didn't get into Star Wars Destiny was because I assumed that the dice were just roll and you hope you get what you get. Mm-hmm. If I had played, because another game that does similar is Ashes, where you also have cards and dice, but there's a lot of ways to manipulate and use the dice. And so I think I would like Star Wars Destiny as well.
Yep. But anyway, that's really all there is to it. This is the 3 of my 4 picks so far are dead collectible games. So there you go.
That is true. Yeah. That's sad. You have a sad list. My games are good. They're not dead. I guess Battlestar is technically dead because you can't.
Yes. Actually, yes. So 4 of my games that are dead.
My number 7 is still going strong, and that is Cosmic Encounter. Cosmic Encounter is phenomenal with 4 or more people. It's okay at 3, but if you only can play with 2, they have Cosmic Encounter Duel, which is not on this list. I did not lump them together either. Cosmic Encounter is such a fantastic game. I love everything about this. Once again, kind of a beer and pretzels game. At its heart, a negotiation game where, to this day, their statement on the back of the box that says no game will be the same is absolutely true, because there are like 260 fucking aliens, and they are insanely just radically different, as well as the combinations of using powers against other powers. Some are very clearly better than others, but that's where the negotiation comes in. I like the fact that the point of the game is you're trying to control 5 other people's planets. You have 5 in front of you. You have ships that you can assign to go fight. But the cool thing is you don't choose who you fight. There's a destiny deck that you draw from. It tells you, oh, you're attacking green. So then you choose which planet you want to attack for green. You can get allies. If people ally with you on offense, they get a planet. You can refuse allies, and then if people ally with the defense, they'll get bonus cards, which cards are key to this game. And then you play a card, and you can negotiate to try and get people to play certain things to win. But the heart of Cosmic Encounter is the alien powers, which just allow you to do insane things. One of the cards allows you to blatantly cheat. And if you get caught, there's a penalty. If you don't, then you just get to keep cheating. One is, if you lose, you actually win. So you want low cards. Hey, okay, you're playing a 30. I'm playing a 1. I lost. All right, I win. It's wild. I love the art design for all the aliens. They're wacky and colorful and bright. They have 3 different tiers of aliens. Green, which is easy. Yellow, which is medium tier. And then red, which is usually... they're difficult to play, or they change the game in some drastic way. I love it. I like negotiation too. If I can find a way to negotiate in a game, I'll try and swindle. It's my personality, Type A personality. Just so you fucking, like, work with me, or I will end you. So that's my number 7. I know you don't like it at all.
I've never played it.
You've never? Oh, what the fuck?
But negotiation games are not high on my list. So
That's fair. That's fair. For the record, Cosmic Encounter Duel takes negotiation out of it. And it's not that it's not a good game. I actually think Duel is pretty good. It's just these 10 are better. So, yeah, that's my number 7.
All right, my number 7 might be a dead game. The last expansion for it came out in 2018, and there's nothing else said about it. And that is Elder Sign.
Oh, I think they announced that they were done with Elder Sign. I think so.
So anyway, Elder Sign is...
It's not that it's a dead game. You can still buy Elder Sign, though.
Well, right, but I mean, as far as new content.
Sure. But I wouldn't call, like, a game that has no more expansions a dead game. Like,
that's true. True.
I can go out and buy everything for Elder Sign. Like, Battlestar is technically dead because you can't really... I mean, you can't.
So this is my first live game on the list. Anyway, Elder Sign is a... it's a dice-based Arkham horror, I guess, in a way.
Sure.
Loosely. I mean, the core box and the first expansion were kind of... they were okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, I enjoyed them. But when they started coming out with all the, like the Omens of the Deep and the Pharaoh one and the Ice and all that stuff, when they brought in the story elements where you're actually playing through, it was very much more thematic. Is where it really started humming. and they fixed my issue with not having any place to store all of it.
I remember,
because it came in a tiny those little FFD
FFD
boxes.
They don't really do those anymore.
And I have this huge wooden box that all goes in. It looks like a big museum and all this stuff now.
Yeah, it's sexy.
But I just wish they would sell. My biggest complaint is they need more dice sets.
Oh yeah.
The only way I can get more dice for that is if I buy another damn core set.
Which is weird because Fantasy Flight usually does that. They're like, here's a dice checker game with 3 dice in the box. Oh, but we sell a 10-pack dice set for $10.
Right.
How about that?
So
you greedy motherfuckers.
So pretty much what you're doing is you're rolling dice Yahtzee style. You're getting magnifying glasses for clues and doing different stuff, and then challenges will come up and you have to roll and be able to beat place the dice to beat certain challenges and stuff. You're getting Doom tokens, the typical Cthulhu crap with Doom stuff and Omen tokens. And
I don't like random dice allocation, because that didn't work for Proving Grounds for me either. It's like, even though there's ways to manipulate dice just effective, it's like, here's the challenge. Well, I can't seem to roll the eye, so I guess I just can't do it. And it's like, those types of games just don't do it for me at all.
Yeah, and this was actually my first Cthulhu game that I own.
Wow, okay.
I believe. And I enjoy it, and there's a good app for it as well, and everything. There's a ton of investigators, the classic investigators. Are
they're kind of in everything except for Cthulhu Death May Die.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
But yeah, if you get into it and you're looking for stuff, you need to get all the expansions, because the first expansion gives you this extra die that gets used in other stuff, but the last probably 3 or 4 expansions are the ones with all the story and the theme and all that stuff.
Yeah, which would help a lot.
Yeah, yep. So it's a good one. Elder Sign.
Awesome. My number 6 is the longest game and the most epic game I have on my list, and that is Twilight Imperium, which is the fact that these kinds of games are so far back just shows how, 1, drastic my tastes have changed, and 2, just how good a lot of Fantasy Flight games are. Twilight Imperium is the granddaddy of 4X games. It is kind of like how we were talking about how with Battlestar Galactica, how you have stories of things that can happen, or even Wiz War. Twilight Imperium is just rich with those, just because of just how atmospheric the game is. I am of the belief that the stigma to Twilight Imperium hurts it, because everyone's like, oh, it takes 10 hours. It's like, yeah, if none of you know how to play a game and everyone's new and you've never touched it and you're playing with 6 people. I'm not saying this to be like an elitist. Twilight Imperium with 4 people takes about 4 hours. 3 or 4 hours. Which is still a long time. But I'm saying the stigma where it's like, no, it's going to take all day, like a week to play Twilight. It's like, no, it doesn't. Just look. The game's not that hard. Anyway, Twilight Imperium is fantastic. And you play an alien race that, what I wish they did was actually come up with a compendium, because they have lore. And this is 4th edition, by the way. But in 3rd edition, with the expansions, they had stories at the beginning. And I would be reading those. I'm like, I'm intrigued. But that was it. They never released anything else. But 4th edition just streamlined the whole thing. Took in some of the 3rd edition expansion, added it to this game. Your alien race has their own unique ability, as well as some unique technologies, as well as a unique flagship, which is really cool. That has its own ability. There's so many ways to actually go about winning this game, but you win through victory points, and the way that they did victory points in 4th edition just cleaned it up so much. They have politics in this game, which you would think, oh wow, really? But it's really cool, because that throws in laws and votes to where however many planets you own, you can use their votes, so you can get a little bit more leverage if you want a vote to go in your favor for you or for against other people, or if you want a law to pass or fail. So there's a lot of incentive to go and get planets. What's really cool about 4th edition is in 3rd edition there was just a politics tile, and at the beginning of your turn there's 10 tiles out, and you take one of them, and that's the action that you're going to do, and that's a top and bottom action. But in 3rd edition, there was just a politics tile that you took, and there was going to be a politics phase no matter what. But in the 4th edition, there is a center planet that has basically 0 resources, but it has a lot of influence. That's the government planet. And if you control that, then the politics phase happens, because that makes thematic sense.
Right.
So I always thought, I really like that. The tech tree was cleaned up in 4th edition. Now it's just color-coded. Hey, to get this, tech, you need 2 yellows. In the old one, it was a tree. You need this specific tech and this specific tech to get you this one. And it was very cumbersome. And they finally announced an expansion to 4th edition, which I'm extremely excited for.
And it's an expansion that costs $90, I think is what I heard.
I think it was up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 90. I want to say 70. But still, it's an expansion that's $70. Yeah, it was pricey. But
it adds another player. I think you can play with another player or something like that.
I actually didn't even look into it because I was just like, what? Expansion? But Twilight Imperium, it's the biggest game that I technically own because of just how immense and deep this game is. So I love it. It's a blast, and it's the stigma. Just take the time, read the rulebook, get 4th edition because that cleans it up too, and play with 4 people. You still get the same atmosphere and experience and it'll take you an afternoon, not a whole day. So that's my number 6, Twilight Imperium.
All right, my number 6 is another game that is alive.
Oh, great!
And it is Star Wars X-Wing.
Oh yeah. I did consider X-Wing.
Yeah, I owned a lot of this stuff when it first came out, and then never could find anybody to play it with, so I sold it. And then I saw 2nd edition came out, and I saw somebody selling a good chunk of it, so I bought it again.
Yeah.
And now it's still sitting in my closet, but I figure I'll get it played at some point. I'm not going to get rid of it now because the ships are just so darn nice. They're pre-painted ships. It's top quality.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is a 1v1 game. You have Imperial. Well, I own Imperials, Rebels, and Scum. But with the 2nd edition, they brought in 3 or 4 more. They have the Separatists, the Resistance,
the Order,
the Order, and then there was another like those.
What was it? I don't remember.
But anyway, the something Alliance or something like that. But so there's all these weird, crazy deals, and I just have the 3 basic ones right now. But it's dice combat, range rulers. I like this over Armada.
Have you played Armada?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I would ask that.
It uses the same 3 foot by 3 foot play area. Armada is just the slow tanker.
It's cool though.
Deals. It's cool.
It feels cool.
No. Yeah, I enjoy it, but I like the fast paced combat, like the dogfight.
It's like the way I view it is X-Wing is like the flashy martial arts, and Armada is just boxers just fucking going at it.
The problem, 1st edition kind of went, their power creep got up, and they ended up having issues with like the turrets being too powerful and stuff like that. 2nd edition, they fixed it, so now the turret just because a ship has a turret doesn't mean you can have a 360 shooting window now. Now you have to spend a part of your action, and it's you have to actually move the turret as part of your deal, so it's not like a super powerful deal and everything. But it's a great 1v1 game. It's sexy on the table, because especially I have the big playmat that's just the space, like the stars and the space. I could have gotten one with the Death Star in the background, but I just got the one with just space as normal and stuff. But it's actually even app not driven, but app controlled now.
Okay.
For because in the first edition you had we're gonna have a 100-point battle or 150-point battle. You still do that in 2nd edition, but there was power creep in cards. Like Darth Vader cost this much at one point, and then you're putting out cards that are more power. That cost more than him, so then he's more power. So what happens now is you download the app, you put in what you have, your ships. It puts all the cards in there for you, and when you're building your stuff, all they have to do is send a update to it, and they can adjust the numbers.
Oh,
on
that's
the app,
good.
so you don't have to get.
Nice.
You don't have to get. They can fix the power creep digitally.
What they need to do with
stuff.
that app, and I think first edition had something similar to it, or maybe there was a website. But what they need to do is like do like a quick game where it's like, okay, we're gonna do 100 points. I don't want to sit there and be like, okay, what the fuck do all these cards do?
Mm-hmm.
What do all these people do? And then try and make it. I want to just generate. And then
I haven't really discussed.
Yeah. I don't know if they do or if there is something like that, but that would be great. You bring your X-Wing stuff over, and it's just like, okay, let's just generate. Boom, there's your 100-point list. Here's my 100-point list.
I'm sure there's some.
Boom. Now we just take them and play, and then you just have the cards already, and then you can be like, okay, now what does all of these do?
Right.
Similar to like a deck construction where it's like Arkham Horror LCG, where it's like, hey, here's their starter investigation deck.
Right.
It's like, great. Okay, then over time as I play it, I'll learn what other cards do. Because X-Wing, it's super fun.
Yeah, it's a blast, and just the dice in that game. Yeah, you can get screwed by dice. There isn't much dice manipulation at all, and
no, I think there's a symbol on the dice though to let you.
There's a little bit.
Yeah,
because you can.
But if you roll blanks, you
there's
missed.
a new mechanic in second edition where you actually there's force users.
Okay.
So like if you have a force user, they have a special force ability which may let you do something special.
Gotcha.
It's like Vader or Luke.
I was about to say they have never shown anyone using force in space, but that's not true because Luke blew up the first Death Star with using the force.
So, but I like that. This is one of those games that the dice, if you get hosed on it, I mean, you're in space. It's a dogfight. You miss, you hit.
Sure, it's
whatever.
3D space. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it feels pretty good when you're just like, okay, how are they gonna move? And because they have a arc, so it's like, and like it's like, okay, so if they do this, then I'll be able to, and then then you'll be able to read them, and then they'll just kind of like, whoop, and you're just like, oh, I thought you were gonna keep going, and you didn't.
Right.
Now I'm right here in front of you.
And it uses the stress on the dial. So if you do a stressful maneuver, then you can't. I think you can't fire back.
You can't do something,
and stuff. So, and then you have to do a green maneuver in order to become
unstressed. Yeah,
there's a lot of cool stuff with it. But if you fall off the board, you die.
Yeah,
unless you're just one ship. But, and then there's obstacles. If you run into an obstacle, you take damage. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff.
This is one of those games, though, where if you play with that guy, then it's not fun. No. Where it's just like, actually, whenever you went to rule, you actually nudged your guy, so I'm a fucking loser. Oh, wow, no one wants to play X-Wing with me? It's like, no, you're a dick.
That's why I don't want to play it competitively.
Exactly.
Like, I bought it because for you and I can throw
yeah, and it's just like, whatever, you got it. You got me. Yeah. All right, cool. My number 5 is Eldritch. I couldn't think of a segue into that. Eldritch is just a phenomenal... Arkham Horror is not on this, 2nd edition or 3rd edition, because Eldritch at this point just does everything that Arkham Horror does, and it's just more grandiose. This, I believe, is officially not getting any more expansions. They have...
Eldritch?
Eldritch.
Wow.
I don't think it hasn't gotten an expansion in a long time. And if they do, I'll be upset because I have the wooden crate over there for it. But there's just so much content. Like the location decks are like that fucking thick for what you're doing that you'll never get the same story. And if you do, you probably forgot what it was anyway. But yeah, you play as one of the... I was gonna say heroes. You're most likely not heroes in this game. In this world, you play as one of the investigators trying to stop an ancient one from happening. But the reason why this game is so grandiose is because you play it on the world map instead of limited to Arkham. And I used to always think that was a hindrance of the game, but it feels more epic because of how many of the investigator cards. If you go to Tokyo, you're going to have something that's related to Tokyo. And you just have so much story and richness and theme to this that it truly feels like cooperative. This is one of those games where it's like, okay, well, you were able to do all this because we were also doing all... Like, everyone got to participate. And it just gets insane. They have the Egypt side, they have the Antarctica side, they have the Dreamlands, they have just so much of the mystic side things, which is not an actual board, but like a whole other deck of cards. So many items that you can get. So many... And what's cool is that the clues... Because in Arkham, it was just a deck of clue cards or a deck of other world cards. Eldritch has the deck of Otherworld cards, but here the clue cards you actually have to go. You don't just pick them up. You don't just get them. You have to go and have an encounter with it, and the clue cards are tied to that ancient one. So it's even more thematic that way. The way you set up each ancient one's mythos deck is different, and that's going to dictate kind of what happens. There's so many of the green, yellow, and blue cards. It's this game is infinitely replayable as well, and just completely scratches that itch for a grandiose Cthulhu game for me. So, have you played Eldritch Horror?
I've owned it twice.
Can I? Next, okay, hold on. Next time you want to buy a game, can you just give me that money? You apparently like to throw it away. I could use extra money. I'll play the game. It may take me a while, like 3 years, because I have Colosseum still sitting over there. But
Well, I bought it because I thought it would be one that Amy and I would play. And
but then
she's
like,
she doesn't
cooperative?
Like
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So that's my number 5, Eldritch Horror.
All right, my number 5 is my third straight Star Wars game.
Star Wars Rebellion.
Nope.
You've
I haven't
never
actually played Rebellion. This is Outer Rim.
Oh, that's right. I haven't touched that one yet.
It's good.
Outer Rim job.
Star Wars Outer Rim is a better, faster, cleaner version of Firefly. The board game.
that's
because it's
right.
a pick up deliver game.
Mm-hmm.
You take on the role. You could be Lando. You can be Boba Fett. You could be Han Solo. There's a couple others, and you just go around.
Can I play Bosk or Bask? Bosk, I think is his name. The lizard guy.
I think he's one of them.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think he's one of them.
Can I be the robot that was in The Mandalorian?
No.
I don't want to play.
Oh, actually, IG. Yeah.
IG-88, I think is what it
one
is.
of the IGs.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was probably one of the bounty hunters that was on that line with Darth Vader.
So anyway, it's kind of a sandboxy pick up and deliver game. You can do bounties. You can pick up just deliver stuff.
Cool.
And it's kind of an interesting board because it's like a half, not really even a half circle. It's just like an arc.
It's kind of like that. Was it Celestia? I think was one of those games where it's just like the board is it's an arc.
Yeah, it's just a big arc is all it is, and you're moving around that. And you're completing jobs and getting money, and pretty much at the end of the game, if you have the most money, you win. I mean that's the deal. By
cool.
Either whether you're doing bounties, doing jobs,
Mm-hmm.
The solo aspect of this is excellent. The AI is really good.
Neat.
So like you choose, I'm gonna be Han Solo, and I'm gonna be trying to outdo Lando, and he's doing jobs through the AI as you're doing stuff, and you're trying to have more money than him at the end. But you're constantly running into different events or different odds and ends. What I've done with mine, as I'm in the process of doing it, is replacing, like I'm giving, because right now it's a standee with Han Solo standee and all this stuff. As you buy ships and stuff, so you can actually put Han Solo actually on the Millennium Falcon, or he can be
neat.
I think you could put him in Slave 1 even. Like if he buys Slave 1, like you can buy whatever ship, but you're trying to, because you start off in these basic transport ships.
Yeah.
But if you buy there's these little packs for Armada that they have the little squadrons of little X-wings and stuff. Or they sell. There's a Rebels and Brigands box or whatever that has like a little Millennium Falcon, a little Slave 1, and I bought that. And I'm trying to find the little shuttles, and there's a little spot you can put their picture. Yeah. Their deal in, so then it's like the Millennium Falcon moving around instead of just a standee and stuff. So I've been working on replacing that and stuff. But
that's pretty cool.
But I liked Firefly the game. It was just long.
I never played it. Yeah.
It was just a long game. But if you like Firefly, which I don't even know if you've watched Firefly,
never seen it.
It's very thematic. Well, this is really neat though, because it's when I first saw it, because we talked about it, I think when it got announced. That a long time ago, it's like this sounds, because there was no word of it at all. It's just like, we're coming out without a rim like next week,
and it's like
and
okay,
I'm like, I don't know it. And then they show the board with the art, and I'm like, that kind of looks dumb,
right? But
it ended up being an awesome pick up deliver.
I've only heard good things. I can't get into Star Wars. Like it doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously, with how much of a fan you are, Rebellion would just be fantastic for you. You would just need to have another person to play it with. My problem with Rebellion was that the title was it's Star Wars in a box, and it's like it is. But the problem with that is like once I know what you can do, then it's like, well, that's about it. So
yeah, Star Wars Outer Rim, my number 5.
Cool.
May or may not be the last Star Wars game on the list. We'll see.
I'm trying to think if there's any other. My number 2 is Star Wars Armada. I lied. I actually really like it. My number 4 used to be my favorite game of all time so many years ago, and that is Talisman. Talisman is everything fantasy in a box. Man, I just love this game so much, and I actually have played it relatively recently, and because I was like, okay, some of these games went down through my tastes have changed, or other games just got really good. I was like, where is I still have a blast playing Talisman. One, it's for nostalgia because it was the first game that got me into the hobby, but 2, it just scratches that fantasy itch that just... It's the epitome of fantasy. Everything that's fantastical is in this game. There's so many expansions, the corner boards with the city that you go and buy, there's shops, there's events you have, the dungeon, where you go into a dungeon and you fight things, and then there's dungeon events, the woods, which are these fairy, that use fate and stuff for the fate counters. That was their latest one. And then they have the highlands, which was like mountains and stuff, and then you have the actual main board. Right. There's just so much to this, and that's not even counting all the small box, which add a werewolf or the Grim Reaper or the Harbinger. Actually, no, the Harbinger was what was their last one? They actually changed the main board, and it did such a good job with changing the main board that I actually got rid of the original board because it was just so boring. But that changed. It was like kind of post-apocalyptic. You had people that you can go talk to. They have... The end game is you're supposed to get to the middle of the board and kill off everyone, but I always play with a alternative ending, which they have there's just so much to this game that by the end of it, unless you die, you have a character that is just super strong and has all these awesome items that you stand a chance at fighting against other people. So it's also kind of PvP. You can go after one another, and if you attack them, you can take an item and stuff like that, but the only downside is this is roll to move. So they do have cards, obviously, in this game with so many cards that can mitigate that. But if you want to go somewhere, you're rolling and hoping you land on it. That's pretty much the only downside. But everyone I've played this with, it's because I think what a lot of these games, a lot of the big fantasy games, they're mechanically thematic. So to teach someone those kinds of games, it takes a lot more effort. Here, it's just like, okay, roll the die. You want to go left or right? But they still get that fantasy atmosphere that is also rich in those other games, but I don't have to be like, okay, to do this, you have to do this, and to do that, you have to do this. So it's just kind of like with you with Flying Frog. It's just older mechanics, but it still works for us. So yeah, that's my number 4, Talisman.
All right, my number 4 is a dead game.
I don't know. I can't think of any more dead games.
This one you haven't played, but I really think you'd like.
Well, no, it's dead now.
Blood Bowl Team Manager.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's like fantasy football in a way, only in the fantasy Warhammer universe. Mm-hmm. So you have the orcs and the Chaos Warriors and humans and dwarfs and all that stuff. You're playing football, so you pick a race. You start off with the.
Is this the mini one or is this the card? The card
based one. I don't like the minis one. Is too
fiddly.
Yeah. So you pick a race. You start off with their deck, and then you also have your own like team upgrades deck and all these different things over to the side, and then think smash up in a way where. When you're playing a deal, you're almost playing through a season. So there's like 4 games, I think, 4 or 5 games, and you put out highlights, and those are what you fight over. So you can play this up to 4 players.
Okay.
So you place a player out on one of the highlights, and there's the footballs in the middle. So if they have like the football symbol, then that means the ball moves one spot and you have the football. And then if somebody else plays it and stuff, you roll a die, 2 die, and try to tackle them or whatever. There's just a lot of stuff. So pretty much what you're doing is you're battling over these areas, and at the end, whoever has the most power in that highlight wins the highlight.
Okay.
And then there's rewards on that side and everything, and you get whatever it is. You can get upgrades. You can actually recruit a star player, so you could pick a star player out of the deal, and they don't have to be your same race. They can be humans and pick up this badass huge
some
dwarf,
massive orc,
and stuff.
Yeah, that's our running back.
Right.
It's a giant.
So you're going through all that, and the victory points in this are fans. So whoever has the most fans at the end wins. So you have these little dials that you're keeping track of the fans. And the cool thing is there's the Chaos Warriors especially, but every race has cheaters.
Okay.
So you do something that's really big, and you gain these face down skull, and there's a whole stack, a whole bunch of them, and some of them give you more fans. Some of them may hurt you in some way. And then there's a whistle, and if there's a whistle, on that player, that means before you start calculating points, that player's kicked out of the game.
Oh.
And you can actually injure and kill people in the game.
Gotcha.
If they're already tackled or tapped, and then you tackle them again and hurt them, you can actually kick them out, injure them and kick them out.
Okay.
So it's just a silly, you can't play this game super serious because you're just constantly going at each other trying to win the highlight.
Right.
But you play through, and then the very last bowl is the Blood Bowl, and you're going at it again for highlights, and then you just tally up all your fans at the end. They have all these races. They had 2 expansions, so there's like even vampires and stuff in the latest expansion. So there's a blood mechanic, and that makes them stronger and everything. It's just crazy fun, and it's a simple card game, and you're just battling over areas, but it brings in the theme of football, with the football bouncing back and forth. Whoever has the football, that counts as like more points for you when you're calculating the points for that location.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a blast. It'd be one I really think you'd like, just because it's
football,
silly,
and it's fantasy,
light football kind of stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I've never played any type of sport board game, which is weird.
And like I said, sports is there, but I mean, it could just as easily be you're just battling for the area.
True. Yeah.
Other than the football going back and forth and stuff, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
All right, neat. My number 3, 2, and 1 were almost interchangeable.
That's pretty close to mine as well.
My number 3 is Mansions of Madness.
Is the original or second edition?
I don't have to specify second.
That's my number 3 as well.
Okay, it's funny because I was thinking, I'm like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because you don't have to anymore. No one is talking about first edition.
I know.
That's your number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Mansions of Madness is it's so good. It's such a good game. The only downside is it's not even their fault. It's Broken Token's fault, because their big crate for Mansions of Madness doesn't fit the fucking latest expansion.
It's only bad for the people that bought it. Right?
Yep. It certainly is. And I mean, usually Broken Token's pretty good about doing like upgradable stuff. They did with Scythe and things like that. But so I'm just holding out.
I'm waiting for whenever they're done with it, and then I'm going to see what they come out with.
Yeah, so we'll see. But Mansions of Madness is, if you don't know, you play investigators in a mansion, or not even in a mansion anymore, kind of like Elder Sign, but you are doing scenarios. It's completely app-driven. This was their, I think, first attempt at an app, at least first attempt at making a good app.
Yeah, because I think this one was before Descent, wasn't it? Because
Descent came after, as well as Star Wars Imperial Assault, and definitely before.
This one was first. Then.
Yeah, and this one just took all the bookkeeping away, made it atmospheric, put in way more story to what you're searching for, the storytelling, the mythos event,
the music, just having the music.
Yeah, the sound effects of doing things. It's just so good. The voice acting for the opening and closing dialogues are really well done. And there's so many fucking scenarios.
Yeah, I was looking at that because I'm behind. Like, I have everything up to and not including the Horrific Journeys.
Okay,
one
you're
with, like, the train and
you're
stuff.
2 behind.
Yeah,
I
there's
think.
a train, and then there's another one I'm missing. Like
The serpent
serpents.
one. Yep, that's the one I have. The box is right over there. Path of the Serpents.
I need those 2, but I was looking online at the so I'm missing all the scenarios from those, and then there's like 2 I think that are online ones.
Like DLC ones.
Yeah, because that's and I'm sure you were going to get to it.
There are 22.
But that's what's awesome about this, because they can stop. I mean, they could stop making content right now, like as far as physical content, and they could just put their heads together and be like, okay, we have these tiles and these tiles. Let's put together another scenario.
Similar to what?
Yeah, and they could just keep pumping out digital stuff on this and charging
similar
$5
to what
a piece.
Gloomhaven did with says, hey, here's these bland tiles. We can just make scenarios for them,
and it's just ridiculous. It's like, because I mean they and a lot of people are like $5 just for a scenario, but it's like, it's $5, and that's a lot of.
Okay, I will say something bad about this app, and I don't know if I need to reach out to Fantasy Flight or what, but well, one, it is $5 for a scenario, but most scenarios, if for all 22, maybe just not the first one, have multiple endings. So usually there's like a bad, a good, or bad, a decent, and a good ending. So you really get kind of 3 games out of it, and depending on the events that come out, and the monsters and the items, that changes for the scenarios as well. Because I have played scenarios multiple times and had a blast each time. But here's the problem with the app: is before I bought, they had like a discount, or they had a sale for those at some point. There was like $2 or $3 instead. Well, I bought them on my iPhone, and then whenever I got my new phone, it didn't carry over, so I'd have to buy them again, and I haven't done that yet.
Did you get another iPhone? Oh,
no, I got a fucking Android like an idiot. So that's extremely frustrating that it didn't carry over. I don't know if that's mainly iPhone or Android's fault. Maybe it's not even theirs. But yeah, 22 scenarios right now. You're right, they could easily just do DLC for that, or just release, hey, here's a DLC pack for $50 and it's 10 scenarios or whatever. Because I'm pretty sure they're going to keep supporting Mansions of Madness. I'd hope so. But yeah, it's extremely atmospheric. And like a lot of them are variable in difficulty, in time, and in the way some of them are very investigation heavy, where it's kind of like a Sherlock Holmes whatever. But others of them are very combat heavy, where you actually have to have weapons to defend yourself. It's just so fucking good.
Yeah, and this one, the playing of this game has taken a hit because of Death May Die.
Oh, okay.
Because like it's the whole, you're in a build, so I've been playing the hell out of that, and so this hasn't gotten played as much, but that doesn't make me change my mind on it at all.
Yeah, and it just did such a good job of taking away the one and making it fully cooperative. Unlike Star Wars Imperial Assault, taking away the one actually hurt the game. Here, it just did a great job. My number 2. Now honestly, my number 1 was almost a for sure.
My number 1 and 2 could almost be just like
right
1A,
there.
1B.
My number, actually on my list, because I wrote all these on a index card, I actually put arrows, because as I was writing, I'm like, you know what? No, Mansions is actually number 2. But the latest expansion kept it at number 2. My number 2 is Marvel Champions. Is that also your number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
2. I had to decide if I was going to do 2 or 1.
I now know what your number 1 is, and I was wondering if it was going to get replaced. Marvel Champions is staying at 2 because that Rise of Red Skull campaign, man.
Yeah, and I haven't tried that yet.
I know you haven't tried it, but like it takes that game to another level because of the story element to it. And the LCG. It almost went to 3 because I was like, well, you kind of really do the same thing every game. Marvel Champions, or Mansions actually has the scenarios and story and stuff. But now Marvel Champions has that, as well as the... God, how many heroes are there now?
Well, there's 4 in the core box, right?
Yep. 4, then they released...
There's 3 in the first cycle.
Okay. Who were the 3? There was...
We had Miss Marvel... And
you're right. Captain America, Thor. Fuck. Black Widow. We were able to make
Doctor
10.
Strange.
No, 9. We did a ranking of 9.
Doctor Strange was 10.
Then Doctor Strange, then Hulk.
And then Hulk.
So 13? 13 heroes now.
I have Ant-Man and Wasp and all them coming out.
Ant-Man,
plus
Wasp,
Spider-Man
Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. So that's gonna bring it up to 15. No, 17.
They almost need more bad guys now.
They do need. Well, no, the Rise of Red Skull adds 5.
Well, right, but I mean, just
and they're individual, so you can play like.
Or not necessarily bad guys, but like
I guess like scenario packs.
Yeah, scenarios like the Green Goblins was, which I guess I mean.
But that's the thing is like Marvel Champions is just so fucking good. Yeah. Like being able to take a hero. Have you actually deck constructed?
Yeah, I don't use the checklist.
Really?
The very first time or two I play that hero, I'll use the pre-construct.
Yeah.
But then after that, because there's certain cards, whether I'm playing Justice or whatever, that I want to have in my...
Yeah, because it's interesting because I usually just take the hero and I'm like, okay, what's their starting deck list? Boom, that's what I'll play with. And Hawkeye gets paired with leadership, and I'm like, why? You're not a leader, you fucking loser.
Well, and leadership is fine with him. I haven't played him, obviously, yet. But to me, because leadership's a lot of allies and a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't think you could play him solo. Like I think you'd have to have a second person. And in my opinion, I haven't played it yet. But I'm like sitting here, I'm thinking like Hawkeye would almost need to be playing two-handed.
Yeah, because I can see that. Because
he isn't really like...
I'll have to try him solo. I haven't tried him solo. But just being able to take a hero and then take a villain and fight against them, and just the sheer combination that you get and the uniqueness of every hero is awesome. Like this game is so good and a phenomenal LCG that they're taking heroes that even villains in the Rise of Red Skull, they're taking villains that I'm like, who?
Yeah, well, like the Wrecking Crew was one they did.
That was one where it's like, what the fuck, who are these people? Right. Now sometimes you have to have a suspension of disbelief because it's like, really, the Hulk fighting Crossbones? Okay. Like, there's no way that he's not annihilating him. But I was talking to Kat about this, where it's like, it's not just Hulk fighting Crossbones. He's the mastermind behind the thing, but there's everything else that's happening, where it's like, okay, yeah, Hulk, you did it, you killed him. However, he supplanted and placed all these bombs around the world and killed all these people, so you still failed.
Get the puny human.
Just smashes them. And it's like, okay, well, Crossbones is also not using just his fists. He has all these gadgets and things like that. So you have to, some of them you have to take a stretch, and obviously there's heroes that I'm like, I despise playing with these people, but that's been few and far between. It's, that Rise of Red Skull campaign was so cool, and if I had to guess, they're leading it up to Thanos.
It has to, because, and we don't know yet, because the next story box that was announced
is Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
More or less Guardians of the Galaxy. The two heroes are going to be Groot and Rocket,
right? Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know what they're...
But that's where the Reality Stone is man, what the fuck? They changed it in the MCU, and that's all my information comes from. Yeah. But the Guardians of the Galaxy, that's where one of the stones was.
Right. So I don't know what they're going to do, because they're going to eventually have to put out Gamora and Drac
and Star-Lord.
Yeah, they're going to have to get those guys out, probably maybe after or before. Before it. Because they already announced the packs coming out before that.
Did they?
Well, I mean, Wasp and those guys.
Yeah.
We're coming out.
Yeah, where they actually have like a smaller set and then a bigger card.
I don't know how they're going to do that. Apparently there's folding involved. And I don't know how that's going to work, because they said something about the big Ant-Man is going to be unfolded, and I'm sitting there, I'm like,
oh.
So I'm like, please don't be what I think it's going to be.
Yeah, don't just be like awful. Oh man.
So I'm just I don't know. I'm sitting kind of
right,
but back. But yeah,
it's just, and it's like, some people are like, oh man, Marvel Champions. We were talking about it earlier, comparing it to Sentinels, where it's like it's crunchy. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this 3 damage attack. And because of this card, it adds 1. So I'm not 2. So I can say that's 4. So I'll do 4 damage to him.
Yeah, it's pretty simplistic.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it's a hard game to beat, but it's simple to know the mechanics.
And that's the thing, is the Rise of Red Skull campaign. It's hard. Like, and there's an expert mode to that, and it's like, oh, geez, we had a tough time with the 2, but it's like, I'm excited to go through that campaign again and play not with Hawkeye and Spider-Woman, to see how Iron Man and, like what we did, Iron Man and Black Widow, see how they go about it. And you can do that, the interchangeability of like, okay, well, here's Rhino, let's fight Rhino, and let's see if Hawkeye can beat Rhino, and then you try that. And of course, Black Panther can't beat anyone. So my number 2 is Marvel Champions.
And that was mine as well.
And that was your number 2.
Yep.
Can you guess my number 1?
Well, you said there was no Arkham.
I didn't say there was Arkham Horror.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I hesitated. Yeah, the LCG.
It's the LCG.
Yeah, I guessed that at the very beginning.
Right.
But
And then I said that, there's no Arkham Horror board game. Yep, my number 1 Fantasy Flight game is Arkham Horror LCG. I don't see Marvel Champions surpassing this, just because Arkham Horror does the investigation. I like the Lovecraft's world over Marvel. And there's just so much content to this, so many just unique individual scenarios that Rise of Red Skull does this as well with Marvel Champions, as that each scenario, how well you do and things you do carry over from one to one. Arkham Horror does the exact same thing. You can have permanent buffs and permanent debuffs on your investigator. Like, you have the deck construction and deck building as well, as you progress and get experience to put more cards into your deck. The overarching story of each campaign, and they just announced another one. Innsmouth, I think, is where they're taking it for this next set. It's insane. There is just so much, and then the different side scenarios that they have. I just love that the unique mechanics that they throw, and they are pumping these out.
Yeah, I know. I wish I would have kept up with it.
Yeah, because it's getting to that point where it's like it's almost too expensive to try and just catch up, unless you can find someone who just doesn't play it and is like, here's everything for $400. Because my friend Devin was asking, he's like, because I was talking about it, he's like, hey, if you're ever going to get rid of that, I'll buy it. And I'm like, dude, I'll never get rid of this game. He's like, well, how much would it be to catch up? I'm like, probably $400.
$15 a pack.
Yeah. And about, what is it, 25 or something for a box set?
A story deal probably in there.
Yeah, I think one of them, the latest one, has 8. Yeah, as well as the Return. They have the Return to sets, so it's like the first one's Return to the Night of the Zealot, which changes. You can go back and it changes up the story, which those are probably more of just a cash grab. But now they're doing those as well. But I'm like, yeah, it'd be pretty pricey. It'd probably add up to around $400 to get everything, which is the price of your average Kickstarter. But yeah, this one just does everything for me. Like, it does what Mansions of Madness does. It's a combination really of what Mansions and Marvel Champions does for a game that I love it. And this seems to be probably their big. And Marvel is accelerating pretty quickly with how much they're pumping them out.
Yeah,
but these are kind of their 2.
We'll see in 2 years what Marvel Champions is doing, because Arkham's had a kind of a 2-year head start.
Yeah, exactly. So, I will say Marvel Champions is getting to where I need to buy an organization for it, because that box is pretty much full.
One of the wooden inserts right
I'm gonna
now,
pick one up for it, just to.
But it's gonna fill up.
Yeah,
I'm running out of room in it almost. I'm gonna have to do something, get a second box or something. Yeah, I guess.
So yeah, that's my number 1, Arkham Horror, the LCG.
All right, you know what my number 1 is?
Netrunner.
Nope.
Oh, then I have no idea.
It's Where's My Fish? No, I'm just joking. It's Netrunner.
I'm like, really? I'm like, it has to be Netrunner.
Yeah, it is. Netrunner had to be in this spot, just because it's. I played it more than any game I've ever played before, and it's yet another dead game.
Man, half your list was dead games.
I know, and it's hard, I don't know. And it wasn't dead because I couldn't find people to play. It's just dead because they lost
the rights,
stuff. But
yep.
But I mean, I don't know how much I need to explain Netrunner. I mean, it's been on my list for so many of these videos
That's
and
true.
stuff. Corporation and hackers, and it's asynchronous. So when you play, one person's the hacker, one's the corp, and then you flip flop and see what happens. And the corporation's trying to score 7 points of agendas by advancing them with actions, and the hackers are trying to steal 7 points of agendas from hackers. I mean, that's the base. Like, and the corporation can kill. Another winning condition is killing the hacker through different stuff. But this was the game. I traveled all over the place for this, and it's just.
What's crazy is that you've kept games that are virtually dead. Like, you still have Star Wars Destiny, you have X-Wing. I'm surprised you just didn't keep Android Netrunner.
Well, at the time, because it was more of a, I need the money now. There's a guy willing to pay me $600 for everything I have.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The people that around here, like, I probably wouldn't get. I have more of a chance of playing Destiny and X-Wing with you, just to kind of get stuff for somebody than Netrunner, just because everybody knows that I was a Netrunner player, like, hardcore.
Right.
So, like, a lot of times people won't play me because
they're like, well, you're going to win.
Right. So it is what it is on that and stuff. But I'm kind of still hoping for some sort of a weird resurrection, not necessarily with the theme, but with the mechanics.
The theme could just be. I just don't get it. The theme could literally be that exact same thing. Just take the Android.
Right. It could, but the mechanics are back with WotC.
You can't own mechanics.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened. That's
it's like, it's just like, oh man, someone better sue fucking.
They were,
because it's like, I have roll the move. Yeah, that's a mechanic.
They were paying for the rights to use this system.
Yeah.
From, I think it was WotC, I'm pretty sure, but and they didn't want to pay for it anymore, and they took it. So I'm kind of I had hopes that maybe with Cyberpunk 2077 coming out, there's a lot of talk of like, oh, maybe they're going to re-release it with Cyberpunk on it, but
probably not. We'll see. I mean, you never know with Fantasy Flight. They're kind of they're like the safe bet publisher. But every now and then they'll just throw something on, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Well, and it's just they cut ties with so much stuff. Like the catalog's constantly going from stuff. And I guess when you have competitive games and stuff, I mean, that's what happens if they aren't selling, then you ditch it.
That's
the thing
true.
that was pissy about this is they'd just redone second edition.
Yeah.
And put out new core sets or new starting
Didn't
point for people.
Didn't they have a campaign box set that came out?
Yeah. Terminal Directive.
Yeah.
And then, like, it was shortly after that revised core. Everybody got excited again. People were buying it, and then it was maybe a couple months after that core set came out
that it died.
That the license expired, and they cut
it.
And it's just like, so part of me selling it was bitterness as well as somebody offering me a good chunk of money for it and stuff. Yeah, it'll always be my up there towards the top.
Yeah.
Marvel Champions was right there, even keel, because I'm gonna play Marvel Champions more.
Yeah, it's still being supported.
Hopefully for a long time.
Right.
As long as
I would like to see Marvel Champions get to the point where they have the same amount of heroes as Marvel Legendary does.
Oh dear Lord.
All right, we have Tigress and whatever, and whoever else is there. Luke Cage, actually, the heroes would be.
They needed to get the Defenders.
The Defenders, that's it.
Get Jessica Jones and
Iron Fist. Iron Fist, Daredevil. Luke
I'm
Cage.
waiting for Punisher.
Punisher would be cool
because Punisher's my favorite Marvel. Deal, and they've got to get him out there at some point.
Yeah, I think they'll probably start doing. They're going to do these box sets.
Well, and they have the X-Men that still do. They've talked about that already and stuff too.
So
there's a lot of shit.
There's a lot that they have planned, and Arkham Horror is still going strong.
Yep.
So those are our top 10 Fantasy Flight games. Let us know what your favorite FFG games are in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.